¡Viva Puerto Rico! Otra vez, ¡Viva Puerto Rico! I just want to get us started by saying a deep, heartfelt congratulations to Maria López de León on retiring from National Association of Latino Arts and Culture after 25 years. Under Maria López de León's leadership, NALAC developed and launched grant programs for Latina artists and organizations in the US, Mexico, and Central America. De León directed the renowned Annual Leadership Institute and the Advocacy Leadership Institute in Washington, D.C. She co-founded the Intercultural Leadership Institute and directed NALAC national conferences and regional arts training workshops across the country. Under De León's leadership, NALAC completed production of Visiones, a 6-part documentary series on Latino art and culture for PBS, and the development of an accompanying education curriculum distributed to more than 35,000 schools. A noted speaker and advocate for the arts, equity, and social and economic justice, De León served on the National Leadership Agenda, the National Council on the Arts, and on the boards of the First Peoples Fund, the National Hispanic Leadership Agenda, the Performing Arts Alliance, and the U.S. Department of Arts and Culture. She was an advisory council member of Women of Color in the Arts, Intuit Hispanic Advisory Council, Pixar Studios Coco Cultural Advisors, and Kennedy Center Latino Advisory Council. De León was twice named among the nation's 50 most powerful and influential leaders in the nonprofit arts. Maria, felicidades. Tomorrow we'll get to hear from the new Director of National Association of Latino Arts and Culture, F. Javier Torres Campos. Please join me in welcoming from the GIA Conference Planning Committee, from Banco Popular, Beatriz Palomus López.
Muchas gracias, Eddie. Thank you, Eddie. And thank you all for being here. It's a little bit overwhelming to see 650 of you, and there are only like 20, 30 of us locally. I have to echo Luis Miranda's words yesterday and ask you to please don't forget about us after you leave Puerto Rico tomorrow. I've been asked to tell you a little bit of what we do at Fundación Banco Popular, where we really have an unwavering belief in the transformative power of the arts and arts education. It really guides our mission and a great deal of our social investments. As we all know, our islands in the extraordinary artistic talent is recognized worldwide, heightening even further the urgency of arts philanthropy. Fundación Banco Popular has long supported the training of artists across the visual arts through sustained and flexible grant-making to nonprofit partners of all sizes, from household museums to long-established dance companies to more experimental endeavors for training independent artists. We have also always understood how essential arts education for Puerto Ricans with functional diversity is to lead an independent and dignified life. However, for more than 20 years, our primary focus has been the development of musical talent in children and young people. Its undisputable value in reinforcing creativity and culture, advancing academic success, and promoting positive behavior in youth has led Fundación Banco Popular to contribute to the training of several generations of Puerto Rican musicians. We have really been privileged to see the growth in so many young people And today we have Tanisha here. I was just telling her that I will always remember the first time that I saw her at a Berkeley in Puerto Rico workshop. Wow, more than how many years ago? Maybe 15 years ago. She was always and always has been a guiding light, and she was from that first day that I saw her. In 2021, we launched an educational model in collaboration with 7 nonprofit partners with a curriculum that seeks to develop musician students from the earliest of stages into professionals. Many of these students have now had the chance to appear in Popular's special music production, El Especial de Navidad de Popular, a yearly institution of more than 30 years, which ushers the start of the longest Christmas season in the world and showcases our cultural and musical roots in Puerto Rico, the diaspora, and beyond. As part of these programs, we design and offer courses, concerts, internships, and master classes in which our participants can be nourished and learn from great Puerto Rican artists. This is how we met Tanicha López, one of our most important Puerto Rican singers and improvisers of this moment. Tanicha was an excellent student and has been a phenomenal resource for our students now, sharing her knowledge and experiences through specialized master classes. We also had the privilege to have her as part of our recent concert along with saxophonist Jonathan Thuaso and our dearest cuatrista, Fabiola Mendez, as part of our musical talent development continuum. Both were also recipients of our programmatic fund established to support our alumni's first musical productions. We are especially proud of this component because it really enables emerging artists the flexible funding they need to begin making their mark in the industry. Finally, I believe we can all agree that society generally fails to value our artists' contributions to the arts, economy, culture, patrimony, and even our collective mental health in times of crisis. This also means their jobs are underestimated, as well as their right to a steady source of income, just as any other worker. For this reason, in Fundación Banco Popular, we have ensured to make a first and prompt call to our fellow nonprofit leaders, who are also artists, to ask what they need and ensure our emergency response strategies incorporate them as essential services. For Banco Popular and Fundación Banco Popular, artistic services travel to needed communities along with water and food. In other words, art is always a philanthropic priority. So today, we are honored to coincide with 3 of these wonderful essential workers and witness a gathering of 3 women artists who share and represent the Puerto Rican identity on the island and with the world. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. My name's Caridad de la Luz, La Bruja, New Rican Poets Cafe representing. And now it's time for a little WAP. A little WAP. Not the WAP you're thinking, but. Okay, let's see what happens. Adult language. WAP, women aren't protected, words as projectiles, we are persecuted, wishing away pain, watching angry people, wanting all parts, weathered against patriarchy, wrangled as property, wearing aprons professionally, welcoming angels presently, wittingly arming prowess, wimpish assholes, prod, WAP. That's a WAP, that's a WAP. Why ask presidents who act poisonously whether America punishes with abandonment purposefully while amounting pesos with arrogant pride, walking around pedophiles who adore pussy, whiskerless aren't pure, Wednesdays are penciled with addresses privately, Wi-Fi accesses pornography, women arrive posturized, weddings arranged prematurely, whatever asses provide. That's a WAP, that's a WAP, that's a WAP. WAP. Widow adolescents placate, whispering alarms penetrate. Why, asked Poppet, will anyone persevere? Whites aren't prosecuted well at a purpose. Went around popping wide, arrayed pills, whatever addiction pleases, we aren't prepared. Wrestling against poverty while acting puny. Washing areas profusely, winds agitate pollution. Why aren't people wide awake polemically? Where's afterlife pointing? Witches align powers, wishing altruistic peace. WAP, adamantly villainized, wet and pink. Warriors attack politics, what you think? Always pushing, we ain't playing, why ask permission? We are pissed, we are Amazons procreating. Wild and promiscuous, we're all psychos, we're all prostitutes, well-aware prudes, watched and perceived, well-groomed and pretty. Writing acronym poetry, that's a WAP, that's a WAP, that's a WAP, that's a WAP. WAP. Are y'all ready? That's a WAP, that's a WAP, that's a WAP, that's a WAP. WAP. We are present. We are powerful. Yeah, we are here in Puerto Rico. So I would like to welcome up to the stage Tariana Navas Nieves y Tanicha López. Tariana Navas Nieves, Director of Cultural Affairs of Denver Arts and Venues. City and County of Denver has 30 years of experience in management, equity, and race and social justice work, philanthropy, curatorial practice, translation and interpretation, television and communications. She oversees the city departments of public art, cultural programs and events, creative industries, arts education, and the agent's numerous cultural investments and grants programs. Navas Nieves is also on the city's equity leadership team, responsible for the oversight and implementation of the city's equity platform. She also serves on national, regional, and local boards, including the GIA chair-elect. Philanthropy, yes, you could clap up for that. Philanthropy of Colorado Board Chair and the Colorado Business Committee for the Arts. She's also co-author of the renowned Retool Racial Equity in the Panel Process and created the learning series, How to Be an Anti-Racist Organization, a conversation with Duenita and Tariana, with followers from the United States, South America, and Europe, with a conversation with Duenita and Tania. Yep, it's repeated here. With an expertise in Latin American and American Indian art, she has also served in curatorial posts at the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center, Denver Art Museum, Museo de las Americas, and for private collections in the US and in Puerto Rico. Ladies and gentlemen, Tariana Navas Nieves. Thank you.
That was a lot. I didn't put that together. I'm going to introduce my fellow artists here. I'll start with Caridad de la Luz, La Bruja, Emmy-winning poet. Caridad de la Luz, born and raised in the Bronx and Manatí, Puerto Rico. She's known in the spoken word and hip-hop worlds as La Bruja. She won an Emmy in 2022. The same year became the executive director of the renowned New York Rican Poets Café, where she began her career. That's right. Where she began her career in 1996. She's the winner of the Jerome Hill Artist Fellowship and David Prize finalist. Caridad balances a career of activism, education, and entertainment. She has been one of America's leading spoken word poets for over 20 years. I've been a groupie fan of this woman for a long time. And has received the Edgar Allan Poe Award from the Bronx Historical Society. She was honored as the Bronx Living Legend by the Bronx Music Heritage Center and was named top 20 Puerto Rican women everyone you should know.
Thank you.
Give it round. And now for the incomparable Tanicha López.
I like that word.
Right? Jazz vocalist. Raised in Carolina, Puerto Rico, Tanicha López is sure to leave you breathless with her performance. And wait, this ain't over. Wait till you see what we have saving for you. Considered one of the best jazz vocalists in Puerto Rico, she's enticing, transparent, honest with her sound, and flexible in any genre. López is the winner of scholarships from Berklee College of Music, has performed in various Heineken Jazz Festivals, and is currently singing alongside Grammy Award-winning reggae band Cultura Profética, touring around the globe. Woo! And since this is how we do things, and we're going to talk a little bit about improvisation, I'm just going to go off script right now and let you know that we've been like in a moment since, well, for months, but especially yesterday, where we're all sharing a little bit of, again, our love of family, a love of actually one another. And we took a moment yesterday to really call out the fact that we are three Puerto Rican, Boricuas, New Yorkers, women artists sharing this stage in our land around family and love. That's so dope. Like
It's a dream. It's a dream come true.
right now.
Long overdue. We shared love, hugs, tears.
Oh, yes, it was
Beautiful.
real. It was beautiful. And it also made me think about the fact that you just heard the professional descriptions, but we talked about being artists and being humans and being change makers. And the fact that as change makers, we approach the work with artistry, love, generosity, strength, and radical empathy. And that is significant, especially when we're talking about the systems we want to change. And I wanted to take a moment to share what is in my DNA as a human in terms of this change work. And my grandfather was a professional trumpet player and worked in sanitation. My mother developed the first actually official book club in the island in the 60s. This is before Reese or Oprah. Like, this was my mother, right? She passed in 2013, but her legacy, the book club, is still happening. Voracious reader. Thank you. And my dad is an urban and regional planner, a poet, author, but he is a man that has built movements and taught me how to question systems. And I'm going to take a page of Bedoya's book and share just 3 very quick stories. One is I still remember we're in elementary school for homework. I sat down and asked my father, so papi, ¿qué es el capitalismo?
Dun, dun, dun.
2 years later,
And
we
that's
were
when she
still there.
noticed.
Right? Then he shared that in 1961, he was graduating from the ROTC, and at that time, soldiers, Puerto Rican soldiers, they were not allowed to salute the Puerto Rican flag. And during graduation, my dad ordered his troop to stop at the military parade and salute the flag. Woo! And he worked to change the protocols, which was successful, and the military revoked my dad's Distinguished Military Service Honor. Then he also led the student body in a protest against a fraternity that had burned a black effigy. And the university and the fraternities pushed him out of his role leading the student body. But as student bodies do, they organized. And in the theater, they protested. They brought my dad back to his role, and the university was forced to hold the fraternities accountable. So these are just two of many stories, and again, I know Roberto Bedoya is around here. So I want to take this moment before we engage in conversation to ask all of you, because I'm in this moment in my island surrounded by the people I love the most in this sector, you know where you are, and I'm not good at navigating through emotions, so I'm having a really hard time right now. But I want you to welcome my dad, who's here today. Thank you. Te quiero, papi. Que Dios te bendiga. So with that, and he had no clue that this was happening.
That's how you start a meeting. My God.
Thank you for holding me in this space of great discomfort. We met a number of times throughout the months, and we talk about, like, what do we want to talk about? And the first thing I want to do is leave you the space to describe yourselves as artists, because you're not just a single type of artist. Yeah. So I want both of you to describe yourself as artists.
I like to identify myself as a playful artist, an artist that it dares not only my musicians or my colleagues, but also the public to savor vulnerability. When I sing, I try to tap into fearlessness, because that's a lot of what we feel a lot nowadays. We feel so fearful. Living is quite fearful, actually. It's miraculously fear. It's a very fearing experience, just as is miraculous. So I would like to say that I'm a seeker of what it feels to be free during this plane, right? How it feels to levitate, to harness the energy of people when they're looking at me, look them straight in the eye and tell them, this is you, we are mirrors. So being very daring is something that I felt that many artists, I will desire to see more. So that's what I'm trying to portray when I do that.
And you do that so well.
Thank you.
Caridad?
I do that.
Yes. I am a creator, master manifester. I am, as my name, I am Charity of Light. I do my best to bring light into hearts and souls and into the world. And At the same time, I can be an inspiration to some, but I'm also a trigger, a threat, a disruptor, a witch. And that's okay. I didn't call myself La Bruja because I was trying to win a popularity contest. And my parents got married on Halloween, so it was just destined that way. I'm a teacher and I'm a student, always. And even in this moment, we've been learning and growing together, so yeah.
Gracias. And caridad means exactly that, charity. And we were joking that was raised Catholic, as one is in this island,
Baptized,
right?
everything.
So I remember asking and saying that I wanted to be a Catholic witch.
We could
I'll
do
just
it.
let you. Yeah. We talked about, we're living improvisation today, and how much improvisation, right, and the miracle of improvisation is so much part of your artistry. And I think, again, we're living that because we had to give permission to say, we're just going to go off script and do it. And that's a miracle. So could you talk about the role that improvisation plays in your work?
Well, we talk about where improvisation, that's where the magic lives. In the process of performing, I have marks that I hit, right? There's like the bones, but then the improv is the meat on the bones. It's the clothing, it's the dressing. It's where, that's where universe gets to play, and that's where we tap into source, to energy. We channel. That's in those moments of the unknown is where the magic comes.
That's also, as you can see on the screen, I was able to explore a little bit about that topic because it's my favorite topic. Improvisation is the one thing that I fear the most. It's the one thing that I try to confront it every time because it never stops being very scary or something that creates anxiety. However, when I talk about technical aspects of improvisation, I was thinking about language, about memory, about movement. I love to understand the way that the mind puts together certain things to, connect the dots on how to do better. And in my case, I improvise and I try to tap into a culture. I try to tap into a city, a language, and through movement, memory, and language is where I get to find that beautiful highway and different routes. It's not the same. For example, I don't know. For me, it's fascinating that I get to talk with my body and translate that with my voice. Instead of doing sabarira, it's like sabarira. Like I move my body so that it can speak instead. So that's one channel in which improvisation can be reached. So it is important to talk about those type of things. I don't know if you actually have that type of experience as well.
Sure. I love when something happens in the audience and you get to use that.
Yeah.
It's like a gift, and it's a fruit, and you pick it and you eat it, and so yeah.
To me, it's very important, the language. Like I try to imagine, how can I improvise this as if I was Edith Piaf? And like, no, j'aime de rien. And I try, I don't know French, but I can assure you.
I felt it.
You felt it?
Oh, I felt it.
You saw the
totally.
mole right there, right?
Yeah.
I felt it too. But when I connect to the language, when I connect to the language, I get the opportunity to become a different person, to to talk a different language. So that's, for me, the most fascinating thing is, in one way or another, music has helped me through improvisation to be una ciudadana del mundo.
A citizen of the world.
A citizen of the world. There you go.
And I want to encourage all of us as funders about thinking about how do you value improvisation, and I'm talking big capital improvisation, in terms of when you're thinking about processes and evaluations and applications, right? Like this. We've also talked about mentors. Yes. Again, obviously I just talked about my father, but I have mentors. I mean, Bedoya is not only a mentor, but he's a mentor to many, right? How we mentor one another. So I'd love to hear, who are your mentors and how do you, right? How do you give that honor to somebody to mentor you? Because it's a relationship, right? How do you build trust that way?
Well, I have mentors that are in this room.
Oh.
Yes. I want to acknowledge Melody Capote of Caribbean Culture Center, Mucaro of the Taino Federation, Rosalba Rolón of Puerto Rican Traveling Theater and PRTT, Eleanor Savage of Jerome Hill Artists Fellowship. Because of their mentorship, Dr. Marta Moreno Vega of the Caribbean Culture Center and Corredor Afro, who has helped me immensely, you know, becoming the executive director at the New Rican Poets Cafe. I have never done that before. And I remember asking Dr. Marta Moreno Vega, how do I do this? She said, day by day. You know, there's no manual, but it's following your spirit, your inner guidance, and their help and their experiences. You know, watching them as role models has helped so much. For the in Jerome Hill Artist Fellowship, when I won that fellowship, that helped sustain me through the pandemic. People don't know that I won an Emmy because I was able to live here on the island during the pandemic and created the work that won me the Emmy because of that support. So that mentorship, that guidance, you know, and then of course I have like John Leguizamo, the one-man show king, who because of Puerto Rican Traveling Theater and Pregones, I was able to work with and develop a musical with him and work for 4 years. And, you know, but he was like, he went to my high school, he graduated from Murray Bertram, and when I saw his work, Freak, I was like, we could do that, I could do that, you know, and then to become friends and actually have the mentorship, it has completely transformed my life, and I continue to learn and to grow because of their example and because of their support. So, yeah, I'm so grateful for it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. In my case, my mentors are colleagues with the same age as I. Up until now, they haven't been able to be in organizations and create impact in grand scale. But during the times in which we are living now, where women and men are very polarized through so much painful aspects that we're still dealing with, the masculine energy has been one of the most supportive ones, and I feel very blessed for that. Edgar, which is Black Rhythm, he's a colleague of mine, a beatboxer, a mentor, a philosopher, a psychologist, and he's very knowledgeable, even though he was never raised in the music industry or with the music aspect. He actually did sports, and funny enough, sports was actually the variable that helped him develop discipline, consistency. in an athletic mindset to approach music. So funny enough, he has been one of the people to teach me that 10% can be talent, but 90% is effort. And I still have to humble myself with that fact, you know? Every time that I hear people, oh, you're amazing, you're magnificent, you're gonna go big. I'm like, wait, how am I working hard to honor my gift? Because this gift, I shouldn't lay back on it, you know? Somebody like William Russell, which is the next person next to that picture, is actually my co-producer. And the way that he does so much with so little has also made me understand that I don't need to have rituals. I don't need to wait for the perfect moment to create art. I just need to do art, be art. And I'm very grateful for these people to be in my life and to help me give birth to things that I never thought possible. So, yeah.
So I would also encourage you not only to be very aware and just show gratitude to your mentors, but I think the other day or the other night we were talking about, for me, the importance of your, what I call your coven or your posse. And I can just clearly say that 99% of that for me is in this room. Like, yes, with this Randy and Caitlin and Jamie and Roberto and Tom and Mark and Pam and Sharnita, like these are the circles of love that sustain me and inspire me. So be sure that you show that gratitude, right, to those people that love you unconditionally. Then we also spend time talking about obstacles.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think we share the fact that we've been so many times, so many rooms where we are the first one, the only one, right? I've experienced that in my work with the city. And there's such a feeling of both privilege when you are in a position, right, as funders where we have the power to make decisions, the privilege of access to dollars. But then when you are the only one, and it can be exhausting when we're trying to change systems from within. Can you speak to the challenges you face and maybe what have you done to work through them?
It's refreshing to hear that, Tanicha, that you've been supported by men.
Oh, yeah. And that's not to say that I've also been severely hurt by men.
Yes.
I am not the exception of a lot of women that haven't had a very healthy relationship with the masculine energy. However, I try not to let that define the beautiful contribution that the masculine energy can also deliver, especially when I have a beautiful father who is so noble and to this day calls me every single day to just see if I've eaten. You know? Tú comiste ya? Y yo, But because of that, it will be one day when I may not have one single phone call. It might be a day. Not a single phone call from anybody who just to call me to let me know that I've eaten. So I believe that, yeah, I understand what you're saying in that sense spectrum.
Oh, you know, and what a blessing that is. But for me, sexism, rape culture has been one of the hardest obstacles that I've dealt with throughout my life and continue to push back. You know, the New Yorican Poets Cafe, people know about the founding fathers, and that's what the world knows. And the women that helped build it from the ground up aren't acknowledged in history. You know, we still have a surviving founding mother and no one knows her name. You know, Lois Griffith, a Black Caribbean woman, was there from the beginning and, you know, was estranged from the cultural institution for a long time. So bringing back that matriarch, bringing back a matriarchal energy that, like that that has been a huge challenge. Even as executive director, you know, I dealt with a smear campaign from men that I had to let go of, that weren't working at the level of excellence and integrity. And many men in the New Rican poet community rallied against me, and very few people stood up for me. And I stood quiet. I held on. It was very painful and very difficult, but I focused on the work. I focused on the purpose, and I didn't give it the energy that they wanted. You know, they wanted a fight. There is no fight because they already lost. But nevertheless, you know, it hurts. It really was very painful. What other struggles? Also, resurrecting the New Rican Poets Cafe from a pandemic.
Wow.
It was closed for years. I was on the board, and we were interviewing people for that position, and nobody was really cutting it. And so I was approached by the board itself to do it. I didn't ask for the position, I was appointed. And a lot of people thought differently, like that I'm power hungry, or no. You know, I felt like Neo in the Matrix. I didn't know I was the one until I was the one. And then Lois Griffith became my oracle, and I would go visit Lois. And, you know, and it has been really incredible. But here we are, 50th anniversary. We've reached 50 years. We've closed our doors for the New York Reconstruction project, a $24 million renovation project that's going to take 3 years, you know, like, you know, we did that, but it was without a manual. There was no legal team. There was no HR. I had to do all of that and figure all of that out, insurances and, you know, battles, legal battles. We had a building built illegally during the pandemic that we've been in legal battle that built over our fire exit. And it was, I mean, I didn't know how to do any of that, but here we are. We made it, and I feel really grateful for that. But the pushback has been patriarchal. It feels like colonization. It's all of those things that are ingrained in our society. They're still there.
The Joyce, isn't executive director's job sexy as hell? Right? It's
glamorous. Yeah, right.
So we also talked about, obviously, what has inspired you. We talked about colorism, privilege, the use of privilege to help. And you spent some time talking to us about it.
I am a very weird Pokemon by the looks of it, because I haven't had experiences that have affected me. I have been defined because I have an afro. I have been rechazada, rejected for having the afro as well. But in my case, my talent has been very powerful by the looks of it, and it has opened a lot of doors for me to speak for others, even though I haven't had a lot of those struggles that many of my peers, many of my colleagues and women friends have actually had. I believe that Caridad has actually been an incredible voice for that as well, for her having to experiment it. And as an interpreter, I try to bring light to that which needs more love, instead of that which needs to be fought for. as well. So I see that those are the beautiful spectrums that we navigate with our art.
Thank you.
Mm.
We have a captive audience of 600 plus.
Mm.
So I thought this would be a good opportunity for us as funders to learn from you. So how can funders eliminate barriers and increase support of artists?
Wow, I was actually giving it a lot of thought.
We only have a few minutes.
Yeah, only a few minutes. Here we go. I am very, very grateful and honored to be part of Maniobra, which is an exemplary program here in Puerto Rico. And this program has been able to support selected artists with a plan médico, health insurance, with un sueldo, with a with salary, and with money for their project as well. And there are many days where I'm just crying for the realization of what this means. The awareness of understanding that it's not only giving the money to the artist, it's also how to finance it. How to understand that the scope of money that we've never thought we were able to have, there's a lot of scarcity mindset that the artist has to battle through each and every day. At least I'm the one that has to fight that every single day whenever I'm trying to reach a new level in my career. Oh, wait a minute, I can ask for that money, I can go to that venue, I can talk to that artist. Every time I have to keep reminding myself that I am deserving. So when they have bestowed upon me this incredible gift, it was quite overwhelming. So I believe that the chart of the variable of finance, a lot of knowledge on finance can help us persevere along our path in the career. Management as well. Hay una escasez, there's a scarcity of management, people that can help the artist to live a balanced life. I believe that funders can help contact people who've had the experience to have artists on their wings and help us with that aspect, so that we can understand the process of making art and protecting its quality. And last, for me, is the exposure. If I were to be granted the opportunity to work with any of you and use my voice to represent your mission and your objectives, I will be very honored if you could consider all of the venues and all of the places that you might have knowledge of that could grant me the exposure so that I can be known, because I don't know how to get there. I don't even know if I am deserving of that venue, because I still need to.
Oh, no.
You
Of
are
course, I'm
so-
going to stop right
so
there.
deserving. But I thank you. But this is me talking the language of so many artists, especially in Puerto Rico, who are still colonized to this day, who do not feel like they are deserving of their own freaking land. Imagine how that translates to that which we call our art, which is not even ours either. So I would like that to be beautiful topics to discuss. Hey, Tanicha, where do we see Tanicha singing? Where do we see this artist singing? Let us give them the opportunity to give them a tour, a set of tours. That way we can also be aware of the money, of how it is invested, because I know that is something you gotta take care of. You can make sure of the money being invested in the right ways, but also you can make sure that the artist is exposed to challenges and new ways to reach levels in the artistry that they never thought would have been possible as well.
Take notes.
And take more notes, because I
Yes.
have some here.
She's opened her notebook.
More funding, bigger funding, like six-figure funding especially for established nonprofits that have existed and continue to support a community of artists. During the pandemic, there was a funding model where there was no strings attached. We were given the money and entrusted that we are going to do the work. Having to report how we used it, when we used it, that's a lot of work to get the grant first and then use the grant and then report the grant. It's a lot. That's a lot of work.
That's why finance and
So
management.
I like, no strings attached, shorter final reports, and so that we can also make the programming free to the community that is struggling, so that we don't have to rely on the funding of a community that is already impoverished, struggling, being displaced, all of those things, so that we can provide community-free programs, give writers assistance, like send grant writers to help us grant write, and also maybe a checklist of needs for nonprofits, what nonprofits need. Because like I said, there was no manual. I had to learn it as I went, and I wish I had more guidance in that regard because I felt like I was almost set up to fail. And so, those things, and to help us really support the artists on the island, to help us do work here in Puerto Rico, to help sustain the Puerto Ricans on the island, and help us, come home, help artists come back home, Puerto Rican artists come back home that are, that are displaced after Hurricane Maria, disaster capitalism, all of these things, these laws that were put into place so that we could become another Hawaii. We don't want that. This is our land. This is our home. And so I want to be able to welcome our people back and do all the work that I can to support that. So.
Thank you. So we are out of time, as I see on 80 font size in my notes. Please, a round of applause to Tanicha and Caridad. And to close this session, just stand back. An incredible gift. We're bringing these two performances together.
I wrote my name on an open mic list to spit. It was a lunar eclipse. It was 1996, April 3rd. My spoken word the first time was heard, and I emerged as a New Eurekan poet. I didn't even have a flow yet. Bobito hosted. The seed was planted since then. I just had to grow it from the time I was 5 when I learned to recite from my ma, who herself couldn't read or even write. She was my beacon of light. She changed the course of my life. She saw my mom become a wife on Halloween night. I don't kill chickens or do voodoo pins sticking, and my mission isn't wicked. Superstition, no Wiccan, no Spanish Inquisitions, no spooky premonitions, no treating, no tricking, it's just oral tradition. I only spell with words, verbal incantations. Only spell that down. Verbal incantations. My influencer virus inspired an entire league of titans with sight beyond sight, black, brown, red, yellow, white, thundercats of the light, underdog from the Bronx. You don't wanna see me bite, you don't wanna see me fight. We're changing what's wrong to right. We elevate our nation, emancipation, elevation, rematriation, decolonization. We are the next generation.
We are the next generation. Digo, soy ola profunda. Soy esa marea que se conecta con la tierra y con los humos de la tranquilidad. Y lo que quiero es que tú me digas que esto es para ti. Y como arena que se escapa de los dedos, solo quiero que sea libre. Yo solo quiero que sea libre, libre, libre.
Te quiero mucho, hermana. Gracias por todo, querida.